What's going on, chat? So in 2 weeks, I'm about to start my second year of film school. I can't wait to see everyone. I can't wait to get back into that kind of learning. Going into the second year, I really want to apply this technique, this principle that would have served me in the first year, and it may even help you even before you get to uni or even if you've graduated. I'll be applying it to my experiences at film school, but more time it's going to be applicable to any other subjects. So yeah, grab some tea and let's go. So this principle I want to talk about is don't let education interfere with your learning. It's not a riddle or a juxtaposition or nothing like that, but you may think that learning and education are the same. Just because I'll be going to formal education, then I'm sorted. That's all the learning I need. That isn't the case. And before going into uni, I kind of knew that. I kind of knew that you need to do more than what's in those lectures. That's a different topic about how the schooling system has failed us, that we actually need to learn more than what's in the curriculum. That's a different video, but you hear it so many times, like, I didn't learn anything from uni. You'd hear this oftentimes from graduates. Not all of them, but it is quite common to hear that uni didn't teach me anything. School doesn't teach you taxes. School doesn't teach you how to leverage your skills. It doesn't teach you how to get to your customers. It doesn't teach you how to approach them, communicate with people. Basically, there is a lot of attention on how the schooling system has failed us. You didn't get taught this, and that. The schooling system's bad. We need to learn on top of education. We kind of know that by now. It's way too common. You've heard it dozens of times. Like, the baseline education you get is not enough. Even our lecturers tell us, they remind us throughout the year that we need to be doing more projects, more film projects outside of our deadlines, outside of the projects we get given in lessons. That's interesting when you see the reactions of other students. They're almost disgusted that they have to do other films outside of their film class, which to me is like, you're at university for film school, so like, why would you not want to do more projects with the skills you've honed from these lessons? Before you get into university, you kind of need to have that expectation. Even if I go to all the classes, even if I go submit everything on time, first class, good grades, whatever, yeah? Even if you do all that, I don't think that's necessarily enough. That is not enough, which sucks. And I think that's why we don't want to just go uni on a whim. We don't, especially for a degree that you don't really need, for a career path that you necessarily don't need a degree in. Like, yes, okay, if you want to be a doctor or a nurse, fair enough. But even a business, even if you're doing a business course, like, more time someone's going to teach you business and they don't even have a business themselves. And perhaps that's why they're lecturing. And we need to have these things in account before we make a big choice, such as uni. Because with all the money and time you choose to do a business course, for example, you can make your own business. Everything you need is online, ready there for you, with millions of gurus and influencers ready just to give you their techniques on how to make money online. So you really can't rely on just what they give you in the curriculum. For example, with film, in the first year we learned all the basics. We learned about each department: editing, camera, sound, lighting. But because there's so much departments, they just squeezed everything in. And fair enough, like, obviously you do have to get all these things in the curriculum. The camera and lighting, those departments, they were just squeezed in on the same thing. Whereas that doesn't run. Camera and lighting are separate departments in themselves. And for them to condense it into a 3-week module, that is not enough. I'm like, literally, like, I'm not even blaming the uni or the lecturers or the course leaders or whatever. Can you not agree? Like, camera and lighting, these two big departments in a film. And while we're learning all these different areas of film, no one's teaching us how to get our film in front of people. No one's teaching us how we can actually get to our target audience. No, bro, we don't even know what our target audience is. It's not the uni's fault. It's not the curriculum's. If anything, yeah, it's my fault for not learning these things, because what uni has shown me is all these different pillars of film, the vague overall structure of it. So now it's my job to fill in between the lines. It's my job now to actually, oh shit, okay, I kind of know about lighting and sound and script, but I actually don't know how to make something. with the goal of my dream customer actually wanting to consume it. I didn't even know that was a thing to market to my... You get what I'm saying? It's just a very vague baseline what they give us at uni, and it's our job to actually fill it in. And that's why I just want to remind you guys, because again, we can't be coming into uni thinking, the minimum is enough. People don't even come up to their lectures, so they're not even doing the minimum. You get what I'm saying? You need to do more than what's on the curriculum, because the disappointment you'll have when you get to graduation, when you get that piece of paper and you think your life will just magically change from that. That's not the case. You need to put in the work way before. What's common is that people go to uni and they don't necessarily have a clear path in mind. Like, they may want to go to film, but they don't know what role they want to do, whether they want to be an editor, a director, a writer. They're kind of just going into uni and seeing what they like. But even if you don't know what you want, I feel like it's much better to work outside of uni when you have a bigger goal than not knowing what you want to get out of this course. If you know roughly what you want, and you also have the expectation not to get butthurt if you don't get to that path, I think that's the key. Because, for example, with the film industry, if you want to be a sound recordist, okay, no one really wants to be that from day one, innit? But if you want to be a director, perhaps you don't want to say you want to be a director to yourself, because that's too strong, and what if I don't get it, and what if I fail? So it's much better to just not know what you want to do. Like, just don't decide what you want to do until you get the piece of paper, right? It's much more calming, and it comes with less anxiety when you can just leave it out to the universe. Because obviously, if you say, I want to be director from day one, and you don't get there, or you get discouraged along the way, that is scary, right? But if we flip that, what if you know exactly what you want from day one? For example, what you want to get from this film degree is you want to be a producer. That's very clear. And because it's clear, during your lessons, every line your teacher says, every assignment, literally every 30 seconds from the lecture, you're like, okay, so if I use that sound recording technique, I'll be able to communicate that to the sound department when I'm eventually gathering up all these departments when I'm producing a film. It's a lot more purposeful. It's a lot more, everything you're learning is applicable right now. And again, when uni teaches you the baselines, and imagine, uni teaches you all these baselines of film. That in itself is already so vague. Literally 2 weeks on scriptwriting. Bruh. That in itself is so vague. And if you are vague coming into it, you get what I'm saying? That's like vague multiplied by more vagueness. So if you're coming into it with even 1% more of a purpose, even if you have 1% of a direction, you can easily make all these little vague departments relevant. As a producer, again, in that example, we're learning all these different things like directing, sound, script writing. How you can make that applicable right now is that you realize as a producer, you need to have a good understanding of all departments. When you're doing a sound workshop, maybe that doesn't interest you as much, but you realize that, to communicate with the Department of Sound and myself, I need to learn these things so I can give feedback in a more constructive manner. I need to know these things so I need to know what a good quality soundscape is. And if I'm not pleased with the end result, I'm able to communicate clearly what I need to change about it, what I can appreciate from it. And going back to the essentials, instead of these fundamentals being so vague and almost irrelevant, that's another thing I hear from other students. It's like, I don't need to learn this shit when it comes to script writing or directing. Like, this is irrelevant to me right now. I don't need to learn this so they don't turn up to class. They don't need to know this because they've watched Netflix or something like that, Whereas if you have a purpose, if you have a slight direction, even just a little bit of direction, you can kind of make it purposeful. In a almost chaotic uni course, you can make it so much more purposeful if you have just a little bit of vision. So my first year of uni, as I mentioned, we've gone to the basics. We went through the fundamentals of film, some theory side of it, and then we produced our end of year final film project. I'm talking about a film course because I have this vision of being a producer. I need to learn how to sell a film. I need to learn how to get my film in front of my target audience. I need to know who my target audience are. I need to know how to find this target audience. Now I'm looking at it as a business. Film is a business, and that's something in the past year, that's something I kind of overlooked. I'll just be making scripts without the intent of who's going to be reading this. Like, who am I actually making this for? So through this summer, I've been learning about marketing. Some of the books that have helped me out the most are Russell Brunson's series, .com Secrets and Expert Secrets. These books are about online marketing. These books don't teach me how to sell a film. They're teaching me how to sell a product online, and then how I can generate traffic to get to my products. So now that I've seen the gaps in this university course, I'm learning more outside of education so I can fill in the gaps. So when I get to graduation, I'm not resentful towards my course. I'm not resentful towards my time at uni, because I had my expectations straight. Like, the baseline of uni it's not enough, which sucks. But realizing it is not enough, so you need to put in more work to learn what you don't know. And what uni is really good at is it lets you know what you're unaware of. It lets you know what skills you don't know yet. Because before, I wouldn't know what I don't know, if that makes sense. So now that I realize the gaps in my knowledge, my job now is to get that knowledge. So my first year of uni, I realized how big communication is. Yes, we've heard it so many times that teamwork and communication is great. But when you're actually putting into these projects, when you're working with actors, when you're working with your production team, in the editing, in the production, in the pre-production, in the marketing, your target audience, you're communicating a lot, as well as these baselines of uni of scripts, film, directing, There are soft skills that are as important, I would say, as the editing, for example. The soft skills of actually being someone people want to work with. Soft skills as not being a dick, and appreciating and giving your criticism in a way that doesn't piss people off. These are key. This is key, but we don't learn about this. And I understand, I have compassion for the course leader, the curriculum, the school system, the evil school system. That's cool, yeah, because the fundamentals of film, they need to squeeze that into 3 days a week. So big man saying they really don't have time to squeeze in communication skills, teamworking skills. And that's where you realize where you're lacking, which is freaking great, because now you realize what you need to be learning. Now you realize where you need to put your attention towards. You may have heard this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Are you nice to be around? Can you approach people? Are you someone that people want to get behind on? Are you able to give criticism in a way that people don't resent you? Like, bro, these are valuable skills. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you realize how important these skills are as you get into the industry, these are very important skills. I only mentioned marketing and communication, but there are much more skills that we need to elevate on. And this could be for any course, as I mentioned, not just a film course, even in a psychology course, for example. After graduation, you need to sell yourself. You need to communicate with your patients, with your clients. And you don't magically gain those skills once you get a piece of paper. We really need to have that expectation that uni isn't going to save our lives. Uni is more of a tool. It's not something to rely on, but it's more of a complement, university. It's more of a complement. It's not something you put all your eggs into. It's not something you can rely and invest in fully. There is more to uni than the baseline education, which, again, frankly, that sucks. That we have to do much more. But I think that's so much more fun as well, because if I'm thinking it in a way that is competitively, no one is reading books on how to no one's reading, even though the title of this book is very manipulative sounding. Bro, who is actually reading books on how to communicate better? This is where we can have our advantage, big man thing. No one's being actively mindful on how to have a better teamwork, how to lead a team in a good environment. Like, no one's reading that shit, bro. With my field specifically, obviously films, so we're going to be watching a lot of Netflix, right? No one's reading books. No one's got the attention span to be reading a book. If they don't have the knowledge of someone's lifetime. If they don't have that to complement them, then I'm just making my case much more better. I'm able to separate myself from the people who want the same job, who want the same girl, who want the same whatever. No one's giving themselves the learning they need to elevate because they think, oh, I've signed up to uni, I've enrolled, I'm good. I've got that piece of paper, I've got the gown, I've got the IG stories, I'm good. Until next time, love.